Today we are going to be talking about Alekhine's defense, which is e4 and knight to f6. White can go e5 and kick away the knight, and they can continue by going c4 and then d4, and in this position we play d6, and we begin immediately putting pressure on them and asking them, how are you going to maintain this pawn structure? Let's look at f4, because I find this is the easiest one to disarm, because again it comes with a clear downside that we immediately can exploit. We're going to start by taking. They cannot take with the d-pawn because trading queens here is frankly quite suicidal, because in an endgame situation, the extra space that these pawns give are far less meaningful, and instead, these pawns are now huge targets. So going back, they're going to instead take with the f-pawn, and here we continue undermining their pawn structure, c5. Again, they can't take, we can clearly trade and target these pawns immediately. So going back, they're going to try to push forward d5, and we're continuing to get them to overextend. Now in this position, we continue with e6. We once again put pressure, try to chip away at their pawn structure, and what can they do? Well, the first option they have is to push. Now at first glance, this might seem really strong. They have a protected passed pawn. This is not something that looks very good. However, this is when you remember, wait a minute, a while ago they played f4. That came with some pretty severe weaknesses. We can now exploit it. The second we go e6, that's our idea. They get a good passed pawn. Who cares? They're not going to survive to be able to promote this pawn. We go queen h4 check. It's already game over. g3 allows this very typical and thematic tactic. They have to move their king, and I mean, we can proceed by taking this pawn. You know, this king is going to be able to be very susceptible to various checks. We can then continue developing in a number of ways. For example, if we drag the king over to the dark squares, one very typical idea is to go g6, bishop h6. You can explore this a bit on your own, but as the engine confirms and just look at the position, this is much, much better for black.